Continuing our coverage now of the Garland attack that left 2 gunmen dead, police are crediting a veteran patrol officer for bringing down the shooters and saving lives. Fox 4 Sean Rabb in Garland. Sean, what's the latest in the investigation?
Clarice, I can tell you this officer, 60 years old, 38 years on the Garland Police Department, made the difference on last night. Now, the security planning for this event began back in February, and they had a lot of things in place. They'd worked really hard, but what it came down to last night was one courageous police officer making the difference.
The officer was using his duty pistol. They were using assault rifles.
It was a Garland police officer working off-duty at the Curtis Culwell Center who parked his squad car blocking the west parking lot entrance. That's where he and a Garland security officer came face-to-face with 2 men police say were bent on violence, wearing body armor, carrying assault rifles.
When that car pulled up and stopped, those officers began to exit their vehicle, and 2 men exited the dark-colored sedan. Both of them had assault rifles, came around the back of the car and started shooting at the police car. The police officer in that car began returning fire and struck both men, taking them down.
Garland ISD security officer was shot in the leg, released from the hospital last night. The gunman from Phoenix, Arizona, identified as 34-year-old Nadir Sufi and his roommate, 31-year-old Elton Simpson. Phoenix police and FBI searched the pair's apartment. Simpson on 3 years federal probation for lying to federal agents during a terror investigation.
There were several detonations.
Garland police, assisted by Plano, Irving, FBI, and ATF, worked throughout the night using explosives to get in the trunk of the suspect's car and detonating luggage in that trunk. Concerned about possible explosives, they found none. The event, a controversial art contest depicting the Prophet Muhammad. Ironically, a former Muslim winning the prize. Pamela Geller's American Freedom Defense Initiative sponsored what was billed as a First Amendment event, paying $10,000 in advance for extra police and private security.
The idea that there's a violent war, there is a violent assault on freedom of speech, clearly was brought home last night.
As SWAT teams were moving the 200 to 250 in attendance to a more secure area of that facility,
the woman right next to me pulled out an American flag, and everyone just started singing together in unison.
Now, the reason that Garland police and those other agencies were very careful about the car that these 2 men were in, Clarice, is because after that officer shot them and took them down, the SWAT team that was on the ready heard that gunfire and responded. One of those men was crawling, trying to get to his backpack. He was shot by SWAT officers in that backpack, grenades. And so that's why they were so careful about the car, trying to make sure there were no explosives there. And Chris Moore with the Garland School District says, you know, because this is a government facility, that they have state and federal non-discriminatory policies that are in place by the government, but the school board will reassess who they lease that venue to. Clarice?
Sean, can Garland police give us any additional information about where that 60-year-old officer was in relation to his car and then the suspects that he shot?
Yeah, we believe he had actually walked away from his car for a moment, was sitting down to take a break when the suspects in that dark sedan sped up to where his unmarked car had blocked the entrance to that parking garage, that parking lot. At that point, one of the men jumps out with the assault rifle and the mask on, and the officer pulls his weapon, takes him down. Then the other gets out, same scenario, with his assault rifle, comes around the back of the car. The officer takes him down as well. And again, the SWAT team responding to the echo of gunfire in the air there. One of those men crawling, trying to get to his backpack, and the SWAT officers opened fire on both at that point, Clarice.
And again, Sean, you said that officer's 60 years old. He's a 38-year veteran. He had a service weapon. Those 2 suspects had body armor and assault rifles, and he took them down. So many people, Sean, calling that police officer a hero.
Indeed, and rightfully so, rightfully so. Had they been able to breach the perimeter and get to the outside of right at the time the event was coming to a close, people would have started exiting, and they could have possibly had some human casualties there.
Outstanding marksmanship from that Garland police officer. Sean, thank you.